are different paradigms or literary theory that I will introduce to you. Your book has four. I think they have formalism, they have reader's response theory, they have Marxist and the feminist approach. Now, so these four are different lenses or different angles into how we can analyze a particular text or a particular literary piece. Now, may it be a song, an art, poem, short story, or a novel. So literary criticism is, in other words, interpreting, analyzing, or evaluating a literary work. This includes the classification by genre, analysis of structure. We analyze the forms, the text, the characters. So literary criticism asks what literature is, what it does, and what it is worth. And it helps us understand the importance about the text itself, its structure, its form, social, economic, historical context, what it's written, and how the text manipulates the reader. The connection of the reader to the text, the author to the text, the author to the reader. The act of literary criticism ultimately enhances our enjoyment of our reading of literary work. And aside from the enjoyment or reading for pleasure, it's also going to enhance deep knowledge into reading. It enhances our reading habit as well. Now, these are the different paradigms, but most of the red ones are where I am going to focus more on. So maybe I can also introduce to you what new historicism is. Well, we'll focus on the formalism, the Marxist criticism, reader's response, structuralism or semiotics. I think some of you are familiar of semiosis, and the feminist criticism. Okay. So these are the things that we are going to talk about. Now, this map shows to you what's going to be involved in analyzing or in the analysis when we criticize. So if you notice, I ask you in the discussion tab to be able to respond to questions like trying to remember a particular book and describe or say something about the book. We are already criticizing the book, whether or not we like it. We like it or not, and why do we think so? Are there things that, for us, not clearly stated by the author, or do you think the characters are? Do you think the characters resemble something in the current situation, or do you think the characters are present in reality, or can you see this particular event? What's in the book, is it also happening in the society? Okay, so the world, it also involves the author. For example, we are going to study like biographical criticisms. Our lens is focused on the author. So different lenses into different approach. If we would like to study the society, the sociological approach, then we focus on the world. If we would like to focus on the author, we have the biographical historical approach. Now, if we would like to focus on the text, that's the formalism approach. So we are disregarding all other variables present in a literary text or in a literary piece, because we are only going to focus on one lens. Okay? Sometimes we also, readers, can give our own meaning. We are going to make it sense in our own context. And thus we call it the reader's response theory or the receptive theory. So it doesn't matter what really the author is trying to say. What matters is how I perceive this particular text. These are the different types of the literary theory. So we have formalism, where it uses close reading approach. Why close reading? Because we are going to dissect the form. We are going to dissect the text itself. We are going to find the universal meaning of this particular text. So finding its universal text, unifying. So does this text, for instance, there is this particular poem. Let's say the line goes, slow boat to China. Now, slow boat to China, if you are on a boat, on a ship with someone you really, really love to be with, what does it mean to you if you are on the same ship? That's one line of a poem. Slow boat to China. No? If you are with your special someone, you are currently with this person, do you want that time to end? Do you want it to end quickly? If you are, let's say, having dinner, or let's say talking outside, going out on a trip. Okay. So what does slow boat to China mean? Okay. With its universal meaning, if I am with a particular person that I really like to be with, of course, I want this boat to be slow because I would like to spend more time with this person. I don't like the trip to end. And I think we all agree to that. We don't want the day to end quickly if we are with this person. And or if we are far from this person, we are still longing to that particular moment and we keep thinking we wish it was like slow boat, like we wish it is slow. We wish there's more time to spend to this particular person. May it not be special someone, no, like significant other. It can be somebody from your family that you like to spend more time with. Now, there is an evolution of the formalism approach, and we call it now the Neocriticism, the Neocriticism, wherein they are focused more on not just the text, but images, symbols, and meanings that are there in a particular literary piece or literary work. So we look at symbols and we look at images, but we still find the uniform or the central theme, unifying central theme. No? Because if we say reader's response, we can interpret a specific text differently. There are so many meanings that will come out. But in formalism, we have one meaning for one symbol, not unified meaning. So again, in the Neocriticisms, we not just focus on the text, but we look at images and symbols as well. You know? But both focuses on everything resides in the text, and we disregard what the reader's point of view, what the author is thinking, and what is happening in the world. We are just focused on the product itself, which is the text itself, no, that makes up the poem or the story. Now here, reader's response criticism. This particular approach is easy. If you notice, a lot of people ask you, a lot of teachers will ask us to provide criticisms, to provide like reviews, or to ask our opinion over something. However, if you notice on your grades, you are not graded perfect for your own opinion. In the reader's response criticisms, your view as a reader is correct. Again, your view is acceptable. That is correct. It cannot be wrong because it is your opinion. You are interpreting it based on what it meant for you. Now, you are interpreting that based on the meaning of your own context. So if you notice, no, in the current Miss Universe Philippines as to how they interpret the word puhon. So it matters how you use it into context. And another thing is it also matters into your culture, how you use that into your culture. So that means one text can have a lot of meanings because readers can interpret that differently depending on the culture of the person, depending on the environment that this person is currently involved. So although puhon would mean same with soon or hopefully, but what really matters is that when it is going to be reader's response theory or reader's response criticism, your view is your own interpretation and it cannot be wrong. So if it is a criticism asked by a teacher, now we wonder why our opinion is rated below the perfect score. So if you are asked to criticize something, you have to double check, is this going to be reader's response theory or reader's response criticism? Because this is how I interpret it. But if we are going into formalism approach, we disregard the meaning in our own context. We have to stick to the universal meaning of the particular text. So again, this is an easy analysis of a particular material. But a lot of people who are criticizing literary works, they said this is not intellectual approach when you use reader's response criticism, because it is like you're just criticizing it based on fallacy or something. You're too focused on your own world. You're too focused on your own meaning rather than making sense the text from the text itself. Because in reader's response theory, if you read a particular text, it can mean love to you, but other reader may interpret that as hate. Other reader may interpret that as an accident or something. And it's always going to be okay because it is reader's response criticism. Now, structuralism. So some of you might be confused with formalism because in formalism we also look at the form. Now, same with the structure, we look at the form. But in formalism we look at the text itself. In structuralism we'll look at the system, the shared system of language. I think you are familiar with syntax and semantics, the arrangement of the sentence or the sentences, from words to sentences or phrases to sentences, sentences to paragraphs, and paragraphs into an entire essay or into a story. So there is syntax, there is arrangement, but is there semantics or does it make sense? Is there meaning? Because semantics caters what is the meaning. Is it meaningful? Is the language meaningful, or it doesn't make sense at all? So for example, if we say syntax-wise, if we say the dog is barking at the tree, correct syntax, you see that there's a doer of the action, there is a subject, and there is a predicate, a subject and a predicate. But if I would say the tree is barking at the dog, you will see the arrangement is correct, syntactically correct. There is a subject and there is a predicate, but does it make sense? No. So when it doesn't make sense, there is no meaning of language. There is no semantically wise, it is wrong, but syntactically it is correct because it follows the arrangement or the system of language. It follows what arrangement it's going to be. So subject and predicate. So structuralism, going back, no, structure of language. So for instance, we Filipinos and Cebuanos, we have at least 3 languages. We speak 3. We speak the Bisaya, no, particularly Cebuano Bisaya for those people who are from Cebu. And then we also have the Filipino language, and we have the English language. So in structuralism, we have to remember we have 3 systems. We have Bisaya, we have Filipino, and then we have English. Those 3 systems reside within us. So if, for example, a person would say, phonetically wise, phonetics, no? We care about the sound, the study of sound, no, phonology. If we would say circle, we would understand that that's the round thing. But if we say circle, the pronunciation changed. But because we have 3 systems that reside within us, no? Like Filipino and Bisaya, we still understand that that particular pronunciation means the round thing. It means that it's round, even though we did not say it properly like circle. We say circle, but we understand that's the round object. That's a round object. But notice those people with one system of language only, like they only speak English. They will not understand that. They will be confused because they don't have other systems where they could go back and forth. They only have one system. So lang here, no, and parole, these are French words. Lang is a shared system of language. In other words, these are the knowing part. These are the things we studied in school. These are the things that is inside us. Things that we know. Parole is the doing part. This is the speech acts. These are the performances that we do. I hope you get this. The knowing part, no. You know the rule, but when you perform, you sometimes missed it, but it doesn't mean you don't know it. Biographical criticism, very easy. We study the author's life, and then we connect that to that particular text. Sociological criticism, we look at what are within the society, no, as of the moment, like what is being circulated over the magazines or newspapers, what is being out, what particular fiction, non-fiction that is written in that particular time. So many believe that that there are a lot of ways wherein we can criticize a particular text using sociological criticisms. Looking at social context, we have 2 theories, the feminist and the Marxist theory. Now, the feminist criticism, this was the leading critique is Elaine Showalter, no, where she describes feminist critique as the analysis of works by male authors, no, depicting women's writing, no, especially in the depiction of women's writing, and the gynocriticism. Gynocriticism is the analysis of women's literature. Those literatures that are written by women, like Kate Chopin. Maybe you can look about this particular author, no? Kate, K-A-T-E, and Chopin, that's C-H-O-P-I-N. In the Marxist criticism, oh, by the way, in the feminist criticism, we look at how women are being portrayed, no, into context. So while in the Marxist criticism, this is the economic theory, social and economic theory. The working class will eventually overthrow the capitalist middle class. In the meantime, the middle class exploits the working class. So most institutions like religious, legal, educational, and governmental are corrupted by middle class capitalists. So let me proceed first before I provide you a sample. Again, this applies economic and social theories. So literature, no? Inigtanaw na to sa specific story or poem, we look at economically who are powerful there, and we look at the elite. We look at the role of those people, into the context economically. For us, for example, if we analyze the song No Habang May Tatsulok, you can see that Tatsulok refers to different classes. The new historicism believes that literature does not exist outside the time and place and cannot be interpreted without reference to the time or to the era in which it was written. So, for example, if we criticize No Limitangere, if we use new historicism or the historical approach, we are going to criticize it based on when it was written. Because that particular novel, it is like it mirrors to what is happening in the society at that particular time. So there are so many possible answers. There are so many ways in which we can analyze a particular text. It does not mean that one story there is a perfect literary criticism to use or literary theory to use. No, because one particular literary work can be interpreted, analyzed, and evaluated in different approaches. Meaning, no limitangere, we can use feminism approach, we can use Marxist, we can use new historicism or historical approach. We can also use biographical approach to that. Okay, but each lens, note that it has its own strengths and weaknesses. Each lens is also valuable. Thank you.